Okay, so today I'll be installing the gray water tanks and the black water tank inside the frame of the trailer. I did have to build brackets for the tanks to sit on, so they would sit flush down inside the girders. Overall, though, I do like the way that it turned out, and all my plumbing was nice and neat. I hope you enjoy the video. I'll see you on the next one. Enjoy. All right, so today I'm going to start removing floor panels so I can start adding in the black and gray tanks. So what I want to do now is I just cut the black tank down to where I think it'll fit, and I'm going to put it in this little slot right here. So you can just see some of the cuts that I made. For one, I just made this corner right here, and then I also cut down the flanges on either side just 1/4 of an inch. So let's see if this works. Perfect. So what I'm going to do now is I'll take a flange, a steel bracket, and I'm going to bolt it to this side of this cross member here, and I'm also going to bolt another one to this cross member here, and I'm going to make a foot for this to sit on, and it will wedge between the steel plate that I'm going to put in there, or the angle bracket, and the bottom of the wood. And that way I don't have to cut any flooring or anything like that, and everything should slip right into place. So I'll get working on that. Well, good morning, and welcome back to the cargo build. Today I'm still continuing on with installation of the black and gray tanks. I've got 2 installed, one black and one gray, and I only have one more gray tank to install. But I wanted to go over real quick kind of what I did, because I kind of left off without having it installed before. So real quick, I'll show you what I'm installing, and then I'll show you how I installed it. I bought tanks from Icon. This one is 46.5 by 60.5 by 8. It's a 15-gallon. This will be my gray tank for my shower. And I also installed the exact same gray tank for the 2 sinks, the kitchen sink and the bathroom sink as well. And then I have a smaller one installed for the toilet. So all I'm doing, and you'll see what I'm talking about, is I'm taking 3/4 inch by 3/8 angle iron aluminum, and I'm bolting them to the girders of the trailer, and that creates a foot. And on the top of the foot here, I'll put some rubber sealant like you would have on a door seal. And the tank has flanges on them that I do cut down to a little bit more narrow width to fit inside the girders, and they'll sit right here on the top of these. So I got 2 of those. I'm just bolting them up with 1/4 inch steel bolts, coarse thread. I'll put a lock washer on it and a nut, and it tightens them up, and they are pretty solid. And I'll show you what I did over here. So you can see down here, they sit flush now with the girders. So the cool thing about that is I don't have to cut any wood flooring or anything for them to fit, and then try to figure out how I can make the floor all flush with everything. What this does for me is it puts them flush with the girders. I can slide the floor right back over it and then put all my plumbing into the tanks, and I don't really have to bother much with any cutting of the wood to try to recess the tank into the wood. It came out pretty darn strong, and I'm pretty satisfied with it. And later on, if I have to remove the tanks, that's going to be pretty easy. It should come out real well. So this up here, this will be the black tank for the toilet. I wanted to come over as far as I could. I needed to come over as far as I could. That was it. I even trimmed down the corners of the tank. You can see here. If you can't see that real well, but right here I cut down the corner, and then I also cut down this edge, and both this edge and this edge, in order to get that tank in there the way that I needed it. And it still left a 1 inch or so flange on either side to set the tank on for those aluminum brackets that I just put in. But it should slid it over. I think it slid it over far enough for me to get a toilet in there. You can see right here where my blue lines are, that's where a wall will be, and I may be able to move that wall out if I have to. It all depends on where that toilet's going to attach to the floor. And real quick, I can show you on this side. You can see right here, looking in, this is where my outlets are going to be. And my plans are that I will run the drain pipes. The forward one will probably turn and go in the front, and then the two gray tanks, this one and the one that I'm about to put in, are going to turn and go this way, and everybody's going to meet up over there on the end where I'll have the two knife edges, and it'll come into one pipe, and I'll just have one drain pipe. And you can see real quick how low profile these are. If you can see underneath the trailer, they don't really stick down a lot, hardly at all, and I was really satisfied with that when I put them in. It's just an advantage of having them up inside the girders so they don't stick down too far, so I do like that. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to take out this middle piece of flooring here so that I can put in the second gray tank, or the third tank if you will, and that should install all three of my tanks that I needed. And then after that's installed, what I can do is I'm going to run all the drain line plumbing out to the drain lines for the knife edge and everything, and get that completely finished. And then we'll start plumbing in the shower drain, the toilet, the sink, and the kitchen sink. So I'll see you back here in a minute. So you can see right now with the flanges, I can set the tank down on top of the girders. But if I was to do it that way, I'd have to recess the flooring for it to fit in here flush, so I don't have a bump in the floor. Or I've seen other folks cut a entire hole out of the floor and then they recess it on top. But then what scared me was the 3/4 inch flooring would be that much thinner, and then the actual top of this would be the floor that you're standing on, and I don't think that's meant for standing. I think it needs a little bit more structure in it. So what my plans were, and what I've done, was I've cut down these flanges right here, and I've only taken off about maybe, I don't know, like a 1/4 inch or less. And what that does is it narrows it up, and it allows me to stick it inside between the girders And then what I'll do is we'll take these aluminum angle pieces here, and then we'll bolt them to the girders. I put some door seal or window seal down on top of it so that the tank itself is sitting directly on a nice foamy pad, and these are bolted, and it just sits right down on top of this. And there's another one right here that it sits on, and they just kind of get sandwiched into between the wood floor and this railing. And then what I'll do is I'll take at the last step, and I'll take and I'll pin at least 2 corners of each tank in the flange, through the flange with a screw, and that'll lock it in place, and it won't allow it to move anywhere. I've already kind of been playing with it too, and honestly, you really don't even need that, but just for safety and security, because I know the trailer is going to be bouncing down the road, and vibration, it could actually slide in and out, and I'm worried more about my plumbing than anything, so I am going to lock them to these flanges. So I'll show you how we do that. So what I've been noticing as well is that these girders are not exactly 90 degrees to the frame of the trailer. They actually, seems like they all pivot to the left or the right, so they're not square. So before you go cut off a bunch of flange here evenly on each side, and I did it with that one, I should, you need to see if these are square or not, and this will tell you how much you need to cut off. So you need to just pick the edge that you want to go with, and I usually pick the front one and make that the straight edge. And then I will only cut a little bit off the back flange to accept the curve or the angle in the girder. So we're going to cut one first, see how it lines up, and then we're going to come back and we'll cut this back one, and so that we have a full foot on that flange. So this is always front, and just so we don't get confused, I've just been putting a small arrow on the front of it, and that tells me that this is the front flange. And the easiest way to do this is to actually just take the flange itself and put it on here, and then simply mark a straight edge with the flange, and then you're cutting that out. Alright, so there's that one. So the next thing we'll do is we'll grab the jigsaw, and I will transfer this line to the other side, and I'll put this on my sawhorse, and I'll just take my jigsaw and I'll zip this line off here. And then, like I said, then we'll put it back and we'll measure the distance that we need to cut off the other back flange so that it fits down flush. along the drain pipes for the gray and black tanks, and I was just going to show you guys what I did so far and what I got. So right here you can see this is the manifold. This is where we're going to drain out of, and then on the back side, back in here, these are the knife edges for draining the black and gray tanks, and I'll go over why I have them on this side and why they're behind in just a sec. But real quick, this is coming in from the black tank, just a nice straight shot right into the knife edge, and then over here, let me take this out. So right there's the gray tank for the shower, 3-inch pipe all the way over into manifold right here, and this is the gray tank for bathroom sink and the kitchen sink, and then it's going to manifold into the knife edge here. So everything buttoned up real nice. I got it strapped with steel strapping back to the girders. I did not drill anything into the actual trailer frame. I just didn't want to do that. And I did go ahead and paint the steel black just to make everything hide, because I didn't like the shiny metal sticking out. Okay, so what you're looking at here is the floors are back down. I've got to screw them in still, but I needed a way to figure out where my tanks were so that I didn't punch a hole in them or something when I was trying to put in walls or something like that. So I didn't want to drill a hole through the floor and then inadvertently puncture the tank. So I transferred where the tanks were in the frame onto the wood of the floor, and then I taped it out and I painted it simply with some white paint that I had in the garage. This way, when I'm building the walls and I'm doing everything, I'll know exactly where those tanks are, and I won't punch them with a screw or whatnot, and I won't puncture the tank. So that was very important to me. So I think it worked out pretty good. I didn't have to do I had to do any recesses for the tank. I only did a small recess for the set screw that I used to set the tank so that it didn't slide back and forth. And it was no more than I just marked it out, and then I took a 1/4-inch drill bit and plunged up into the wood just a little bit to clearance the head. And on most cases, it was actually already down below the girders. I didn't really even need to do it. So the reason why my tanks are pointing the way they are is because I was going to run all the plumbing out to this side like a normal trailer would, but I wasn't able to because of the way the frame is and where I needed to put my shower drain and everything. I wanted everything to drop right down into the top of the tank. So if I would have done that, all the tanks would have had to been pushed way over here, which could have put everything over more to the middle of the trailer, and it wouldn't have worked. So I slammed everything as far to this side of the trailer that I could, and that put the spouts that way to that side of the trailer. But and then I thought, well, I was going to take plumbing and then come back around and go to that side. But by the time I got there and I started looking at everything, I realized probably the straightest shot to the drain is the best, because I didn't want things to be caught up. There was more chance for leakage, and also just a lot more money in pipes to try to get to the outside on that side. So I did choose to do it on the door side over here, and I do have enough drain pipe. Actually, I've been playing with it, and I have enough to drop in there, and it'll actually go to the other side of the trailer just fine and drop into any kind of sewer that I need to drop into. So that, I think, is going to work out fine. The next thing I got to do is plumb in the water tank is going to go here, and then I will plumb in the fill for it in this little tiny quarter wall in front of the door. But everything will be above the floor grade, so I'm pretty much done with everything underneath the floor. like I said, all I got to do now is just screw it back down, and then I can start processing into the rest of the build. I think the next thing we're going to do is more than likely pull the walls down, all the sheeting, and then I will mark out and put in probably the windows. I got to do some welding and whatnot to get that, to get the frames in and whatnot. But so far so good. Like I said, I wasn't too sure I like where the drain came out, but I do like the function of it. So in this case, it was more like form over, or function over form, I guess. So we'll see how it works. Hopefully it worked out okay. So until the next one, see you then.